Hi everyone, welcome to week 7. For week 7 we're going to be looking at various types of markets and how they maximize profits. We're going to be relying on the marginal analysis, is where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. And you also can look at it where total revenue exceeds total cost by the greatest amount. When we look at this week, we're going to be focusing on the labor demand. And the labor markets are a very important focus that we should look at, because the labor markets are looking at how firms should decide where they should be producing at. First thing I want to do is go over what we have to accomplish for this week. You have your discussion board. For your discussion board, your first post is due by Thursday, and your first post should include an in-text citation, a reference, and APA formatting. You should also have 2 peer responses. Then you have the homework as well, and I have an APA formatted template for you to use for your written assignments. And I think you'll find this very helpful when you do your final paper, because the course paper is going to be focused on APA formatting. And the course paper is something that you should really be looking at, and the focus of the rubric, because that will really help with your ability to know what's expected. Alright, so let's go over the paper first. The paper is going to be 3 to 5 pages. It's going to be on anything assigned on the beginning of week 1 of the course. You're going to be submitting 3 to 5 pages. It's going to be in APA formatting. You need to make sure to save it or use my template. 30% is going to be completeness of the project and understanding of the topics and issues. 50% is analysis, evaluation, and research, and 20% is APA guidelines. What you're looking at is you're going to find a topic that we focused on, and when you find a topic that you're looking at, you're going to be focused on this topic, and the topic should be based on any of the course concepts that we looked at in the first couple weeks. So if we look at the first couple weeks, things that could be helpful: supply and demand. You could look at market structures, elasticity, international trade, minimum wage. All of those are very important concepts that would really give you a good analysis to really focus on. Now, what you're looking at for the paper is you're looking at how to develop these concepts and how to work on how to bring more of the analysis out in terms of the economic terms that we're using in the course. Now, project description. Any of these topics are fine that you can look at. If you want to use another topic as well, you can do that, as I'm more than willing to assist. Here's the rubric you're looking at: 10% for completeness, 20% for understanding, 40% for analysis, evaluation, and recommendation, 10% is for the research. So you're trying to hit this mark right here. 10% is for writing, 10% is for APA. So what you're looking at, after you find any of these topics, you want to maybe find an article that can really help you. And articles can really connect these ideas, and I think that would be a good way to present it. But you're trying to focus on how to bring about connecting course concepts through what you're seeing in your everyday life, because I think that will make it much easier for you. If you need me to pre-grade your work, please send it to me through email, as I'm more than willing to assist. If you need any other assistance, just let me know, as I can provide that assistance. Now let's look at Chapter 4 when we look at labor markets. Labor markets are very important. The labor markets are looking at the challenging things that we're facing with regard to labor demand. Labor demand and labor supply is a very important analysis. We look at minimum wage. Minimum wage is a very challenging concept that we're looking at. And we have to understand how the minimum wage will bring about changes to what happens with firms. So when we look at labor demand, labor supply, we're looking at the financial markets. You have to look at the way that wages are defined. When we look at equilibrium, you'll notice equilibrium will be established just like supply and demand, and you'll notice that equilibrium will be around 35,000 nurses at a pay of $70,000. You'll notice that if less nurses are available, so let's say that there's been less nurses coming through and supply decreases, you'll notice that there's going to be a higher salary on nurses. So you're going to try to focus on what will shift the supply and demand for labor demand, labor supply. That's very important. What are the components that will shift labor demand, labor supply? That'll bring about a lot of changes that we have to look at, because the changes in labor demand, labor supply will tell us the factors that will cause these shifts and what will happen to the wage rate. So now, here's the story of the demand supply for nurses in Minneapolis, St. Paul. You can use this analysis to find the appropriate equilibrium, but the factors that will cause shifts. You have demand for output, education and training, technology. All of these will cause changes in markets, and specifically in demand and supply. Number of companies, government regulations, and price and availability of other inputs. Then you have required education in government policies. Then we look at what will cause the supply to be a factor. And there's many supply factors shifts as well. You also look at the price floor. Price floor is an example of minimum wage. Minimum wage, very important to evaluate. When we look at minimum wage, you notice we're looking at the lowest price that can be charged in the market. The minimum wage is very important to look at when we focus on the minimum amount. So these are some of the concepts that we're going to be looking at. Make sure to focus on the factors that will cause the changes in supply and demand. Focus on minimum wage. That's a great thing to put in for your paper as well. And if you have any additional questions, please let me know. But I look forward to your effort.